False alarm, folks. Nothing to see here. Sanji is still alive, just barely, but the main point of this chapter is the fight between Luffy and Wyper, I think. One Piece, Chapter 260, Pirate Luffy versus Berserker Wyper.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim here to bring you another review on the awesome and epic and magical timeless tale of One Piece. Kind of sound like one of those Sunday type of guys. Anyway, our last chapter, of course, saw the bulk of it being Brahm versus Zoro. Zoro, of course, coming out on top, and then seeing just a couple of other very brief kind of moments as things went. But the chapter really ended on a bit of a oh shit note, as we saw that Enel had come upon the Going Merry and the injured Ganfal, and then of course Nami, Usopp, and Sanji. And Sanji has obviously been attacked or hit by Enel. And they say that his heart is not beating. So that is how the chapter ended. That's where things pick up over here. And what a wild ride it really is, because we find out within the first couple pages of, oh my God, his heart's not beating, that Usopp's dumbass is actually listening to the wrong side. I'm assuming of his chest, even though your heart is in the middle. But whatever. I know it is slightly off center, but it's not like, like they tell you, when you put your hand over your heart to say the Pledge of Allegiance or what have you, for those that grew up here like me in the U.S., and you see in cartoons and stuff like that, the heart is not all the way over to one side. Anyway, regardless, no big deal. The point is that Sanji is still alive. He is still breathing, but just barely, but he may die. And then all of a sudden, Enel comes over to Usopp, and he's just like... and Usopp just fucking... just shocks, boom, falls, smoke coming from him. And Nami's like, you monster! And he's like, yeah, shut up, don't say a word, and I won't harm you. And it's like, whoa, okay, so Nami's like literally in the corner crying, man. And I mean, this sort of just feels like, it just sort of feels like some kind of forced rape or something like that, man, because he is just freaking just ripping everybody to shreds, ripping right through him. And he's just kind of like smiling like while he's doing it, like, hey, no big deal, So anyway, so Ganfal goes and asks him, and he's like, what is it that you want? What is your deal? And Enel's like, so obviously when he came upon them, Sanji just instinctively attacked him, you know what I mean? And Enel took him out. But Enel's just kind of like, hey, listen, I just wanted to let you know that, the warriors, when I took over everything 6 years ago, the warriors that I imprisoned, to do my bidding and my work and everything, I'm not going to need them pretty soon, just so you know. I'm going to be kind of done with them in their service. We have no idea what that means, what he's going to do with them. And he's like, and then he goes on to basically, to tell Ganfal, and he's like, you idiots think that this is just a chunk of verth that's come up over here, and he's just like, what are you talking about, And then he goes and he explains, and now explains a little bit anyway, kind of just unraveling a little more of the mystery over here. He goes and he explains, he says the same reason the Shandians want this area back so badly, the same reason the Blue Sea people came up here for it, and it's for, it's because of El Dorado, that mythical or that lost city of gold, and then he goes and he explains, he says something about, the lost city of Shandora, or the ruins of Shandora. So obviously there's something there other than, he's talking about gold as well, but I'm thinking that there's got to be a little more than meets the eye than just money here. Now it could all be about gold, but I have a feeling that there's something else afoot over here. You know what I mean? That's just my feeling on this, because because Enel even says, he's like, why do you think we took this island so fiercely, 6 years ago? Anyway, he winds up going, he says, well, I just wanted to come and tell you that, you know what I mean? And he's just like, and Ganfal's like, well, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to release them? And he's just like, oh, well, that's for the god to know and you to find out, and then he just, poof, he's going to go to disappear. Before he does, though, he goes and he explains about how this kind of like Hunger Games type thing, basically whoever wins this whole game that's being played right now is going to be the one that's going to come out on top and be able to find that ancient civilization, or be able to kind of be the winner of his little Hunger Games over there. And he's like, I'm in the game too, but I must bid you adieu, and that's kind of when he goes and says this thing and his piece and then takes off. So really that was kind of a little bit of a bomb dropped on us over there. We don't know the full extent of it, at least I don't at this point, because I don't read ahead, but certainly it's a way of just kind of peeling back the layers of that onion-like story, and I think is very cool. So that's why at least that's what Enel is saying right now. I don't know if he's full of shit or not, but that's why the Shandians are so hell-bent on, no, we're taking all of it back, we want it now. So obviously there's something, maybe more than gold, or maybe it's just a shitload of gold. I don't really know. So kind of like in Spaceballs, we're not doing it for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money. Anyway, so those of you that haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's a very good movie. So, and those of you that have, very good on you. So then it winds up kind of taken, and the next half of the chapter, it's probably a little more than that, winds up being, Luffy actually going, head to head over here with Wyper. And as we saw them in the last chapter, they were going to kind of just start to go at it. Luffy's like, yeah, now you're talking my language, boy. So we see them just kind of balls deep in battle, fighting each other, and Luffy is just, is just Gum Gum Balloon, and he's just bouncing back all the, all the shots that are coming from Wyper's bazooka that are coming at him. And so Wyper's, bouncing around, he's hopping around, he's got his little, magical flying waver skates there, so he's obviously hopping around and moving around real quickly. Winds up disappearing on Luffy and then kind of reappearing and nailing him, But really nobody's getting the upper hand. Luffy goes to pull out the pistol, going on, going pistol. And, he winds up missing. Wyper's very fast, is able to dodge him. And really, at the first point of it, similar to the Zoro and Brahm match, it really seems like they're very evenly matched. And then it kind of goes and takes a turn in Wyper's favor, because Wyper then goes and he says, well, let's try a different type of thing. And he switches over his rocket launcher and he starts spraying something out. And Luffy's like, oh, man, geez, that stinks, right? And this is funny because as soon as he goes and he's like, I put gas in the wind dial, the first thing I thought of with my sick mind is him just sitting there and farting in a wind dial, right? And I know that's so wrong, but it's because of the face that Luffy made prior to that and holding his nose. Not anybody who would like natural gas, gasoline, gas itself, propane, it all stinks. It's a strong smell. It's an odor. It's very putrid for most of these things, and it's not something that many people enjoy inhaling, right? So that's really what he was getting at, because then he goes and he explains that he put gas in the wind dial. It sprays that out, and then he's also got this bluish white flame that comes out that burns everything as it comes out. So it's pretty much like a directed flamethrower is what this thing turns into. And it's kind of cool because you go and you see, Luffy just trying to dodge and duck, and he's like, holy shit, that whole tree was wiped out. You know what I mean? It's not, like I said, it's not good. This is the part where, Wyper really seems to kind of start to obtain the upper hand on Luffy, and you're thinking, oh, this is definitely not good. Luffy can get burned, So as he's going and trying to decimate everything around him and what have you, Luffy goes and he's gonna nail him. He's gonna gear up over here, I guess you'd say. And he does a couple other moves. He tries the pistol again on him a couple of times. He does wind up doing the stamp. He's like Gomo Gomo or Gum Gum, whatever translation you want to use. And actually, I'm gonna be making a video about that sometime soon too, because I read into it pretty deeply on different things about literal translation and then translations that are actually taken to go into fit that particular language and culture better, because many times when you literally translate something from one language to another, the words don't fall into place and match up properly, so you do have to take some creative liberty and license with some of those original words. But everybody gets really, really intense about it one way or the other, and to me it's kind of ridiculous. But again, a video that'll be coming soon and for another time. So we wind up having, he winds up using the stamp on him, and he, first time Wyper kind of blocks it or misses it, then Luffy's like, stamp, and he actually connects with him a couple times and hits him, and again, they're both kind of, taking some brunt of this battle over here, and then it really is kind of cool because it winds up going and Luffy goes and just pulls back, and he's just like, Gum Gum, and he's like, my bazooka won't fail, right? And then Wyper, of course, is pulling out his shit, and he's gonna fire at him, and it's just like this awesome, just cataclysmic, like, explosion where the two of them go and wind up fighting against each other. And here we go. I always lose my page. I had the page and then I turn back to look at something else. So he does the stamp, and then you get this nice, it's not a double page spread, but just a single, but still, bazooka, and you see Luffy just attacking him and Wyper just, obviously firing everything he's got at him. And it is kind of neat because afterwards you go and you see Wyper's bleeding, he's bloody, Luffy's getting all, he's got the cross hatching all over him to signify the dirt, the blood, the sweat, he's sitting there chilling, vest open, ripped up, and they're just basically, at this point they both look none the worse for wear. But it's kind of one of those things where I got to tell you, Wyper is a little bit stronger than I actually first gave him credit for. I really thought that these Shandians were just kind of going to be sort of like a pushover, like fodder when I first saw them. And although they still may not be as strong as some other characters that are on a next level type of thing, I think they're definitely stronger than I probably initially gave them credit for. So that's kind of what I was getting at with that one. So that is how the chapter ends, in a wonderfully explosive manner. And really, my chapter question is going to be, and we got to dive in a little bit to the mysteries over here. What are your thoughts at this point? Of course, no cheating for those of you that have read ahead. What are your thoughts at this point in the tale about Enel and kind of that whole reveal about, hey, everybody's here for, El Dorado, the city of gold, the city or the ruins of Shandora? What are your thoughts on what I was saying? Do you think that it's purely monetary? Is it because there's a shitload of gold there? Or do you think it's because there's something else? So leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Vanation.
If you'd like to see more drawings like this one here, go on over to my Facebook or Instagram page and check them on out.